How's it going, gamers? Today we are talking about Pokemon fan games, why they are beautiful, and why you should be scared of them. More specifically, we're going to be talking about a little-known fan game called PokeFarm Q. Now, I have very little faith that you have ever heard of this game before. I'll just do a little basic laid-down description of what PokeFarm Q is. So, PokeFarm Q is a browser Pokemon game that you can play on your desktop. And it essentially allows you to play as the role of a Pokemon breeder. You know those guys with the milk buckets in the Pokemon games that you hear about? And they take care of the daycares and stuff, but you never actually get to see any more of their life. Yeah, you get to play as one of those. Now that I think about it, those might not be milk buckets. Where it turns into a semi-inventory management MMO, if that makes any sense. Where you take care of the Pokemon inside of your Pokebox. What is it called? The PC? Where you keep your Pokemon inside of your PC and you breed them together to get new beautiful variations, forms, and other Pokemon. As well as visiting other people's PCs and offering your hand to help those Pokemon grow as well. And that's what I mean by MMO. The primary way of progressing in this game is by going to other people's Poke Farms and helping them grow. And then they'll see that you interacted with their account and they'll interact with your account. It's a very nice system. It's all kind of kindness based too, which makes the community that much more beautiful. And on the creativity of that mechanic alone, I would probably give this game a 9 out of 10. And then it does something even greater for me personally. Now you might be able to tell this if you're a longtime viewer, but if you are unaware, I am a longtime shiny hunter. Boy, I love myself some shiny fucking Pokemon. And what they do for shiny Pokemon in this game is brilliant. You see, you have your shiny Pokemon, right? But then there's also albino Pokemon that I believe are at odds of 1 in 1,400. All the odds in the game change. Odds are very fluid in the game, and base odds are never actually discussed about, but I believe that it's about 1 in 1,400. And then there's the small, literally 1 in a million chance that you hatch a shiny that is both shiny and albino, and they are called melanistic Pokemon. I had a friend who had a problem with that. They were the one that showed me the game. They're like, well, technically it would be melanistic, and then if the melanistic Pokemon was shiny, it would be albino, and I have no clue. And so with that in mind, every single Pokemon has a minimum of 4 variations, and boy, does my autism like variation. So with that, I almost fell there. So with those two things in mind alone, we have shot from a 9 out of 10 to a fucking McLaren out of 10. So how does a game like this, with those two things added and so much more, all leading to be a very beautiful browser experience for you to play through, how does it manage to be ruined? How do you manage to ruin this? And they did something that I, to this day, do not know how they get away with. It might just be the lack of a magnification of a community around them. This Pokemon fan game with absolutely zero actual licensing of the Pokemon IP has premium currency and a subscription method. And see, I've mulled over making this video for a while, actually before the channel even started, because I really like the game. But it is to a Facebook games-esque monetization level, a mobile game level, a free-to-play game. And you're like, well, yeah, Smokey, most Pokemon fan games are free to play because they are not licensed. They have to be free to play. And even then, they walk on eggshells. They get shot down every day. So just on the main website here, this is something called Zophan Canisters. I do not know what a Zophan is. I am not going to look it up. I'm not going to bother learning the lore. But the point is there's only one way to get Zophan Canisters. And that is by directly purchasing them with real money, not just any money. They have it ready for almost every single different currency, basically in the world. We have well over 3 dozen currencies listed here, including Uganda, Uruguay, Vietnam, Moldova, fucking Kazakhstan, South Korea, Kenya, Japan, yen, Guatemala, Guinea francs from the country of Papua New Guinea. And these all work, I'm assuming. Select USD. Let's see what our prices here are. Oh, okay. So currently there's a deal going on right now, guys. If you get the 10,000 Zophan Canister combo, then you get 20% off. It's usually 100 euros, but now it's 80. And 80 euros just happens to almost perfectly line up to $100. You can even add a budget here where you can say, oh, I only have $5. And they're like, well, don't worry, kid. Your allowance money is gonna buy you 369 Zophan Canisters. Huh? What? Now, what does this premium currency do? Because I'm sure it wouldn't be awful if, you know, it's just used to maybe it'll just get you some more variations. You know, the game is very visual like that. Maybe you get a custom like show card or whatever. You could show a custom trainer ID you can show off to all your poor friends. This is hyper mode. So you can either purchase this in an amount of $10 a month, $30 semi-annually, or $50 annually. So now let's get through what this subscription does. Shorter release times. I'll read these as is. Normally, you must be in possession of a Pokemon or egg for at least 6 hours before you're allowed to release it into a shelter. But with hyper mode, that wait time is reduced to 1 hour. Okay, it's a bit weird. Especially a bit weird to be your first thing. I don't think I've ever cared about that. Usually, most people have their Pokemon forever. Every 28 days, you'll get 500 Poke Gold, which is their semi-premium currency that they give that they like milk feed the teat to their free-to-play viewers. But as we're already seeing, once you got this subscription, it don't matter. It's basically nothing for you. Daycare adoptions, as long as hyper mode is active, you will be able to adopt double the usual daily limit of eggs in the daycare. Now let's talk about that. Oh, thank God they updated it. So recently they have updated this game, so maybe my old notes are not as. I have it listed here as 8 adoptions a day, but here it is 15. That's better. But you can only really use this entire menu about 15 times a day. Breeding your own Pokemon. How limited are you in breeding Pokemon in the actual normal game? Infinite. There's no limit. You can breed to infinity. You can breed until your arms fall off. You can breed until you die and you inherit your 3DS to your great-grandson. But for some reason in the game where you literally play as a Pokemon breeder, you can only breed 15 times a day. Unless, remember, we use that premium subscription we got here. If you buy this option, you're spending $120 a year at the minimum. Summon items every 48 days. You get 3 legendary seals. This item, when a box guaranteed, gets a summon item. Let me do some mobile game translation for all y'all who have no clue what any of that means. It's a Pokemon game. They have legendary Pokemon. Legendary Pokemon are hard to get, but with this, every month, you just get 3. For the fucking sake of it, you just get 3. 3 legendary Pokemon. There you go. Gold Poke discount. This one is probably the most egregious. All upgrades cost 10% than they normally do. All upgrades cost 10% less than they normally do. What the fuck? I think with this one, I don't need to spell out much on how this is absolutely disgusting. All upgrades cost 10% less than they normally do. One, if you're free to play, you will actively be paying more for every single upgrade in this game. And if you do pay to play, if you do spend 50 to 120 bucks a year on this game via subscription service, you only get 10% off. So the paying players are unsatisfied because it's a shit bonus, and the free-to-play players are unsatisfied because that shit stacks up, and it does become a pain in the ass when you have to grind all of it. What the fuck? While hyper mode is active, all interactions you receive will be boosted by 40%, in addition to any existing multipliers or other sources. This is going to go back to how I was talking about how interactions work a bit earlier in the video, but this also essentially sells out that not only are upgrades cheaper for you, but your Pokemon just genuinely level up faster. Your Pokemon are just straight up better and easier to handle. Hyper mode user bar. This is the single acceptable thing on this entire subscription service. And that's because it is purely aesthetic. Powering the Poke Radar. Now listen to this. The Poke Radar is an item that you can buy for credits. By itself, it's already provided a substantial increase to the rate of finding shinies. Cool. That's cool. Alright. Combine it with Hyper Mode, however, and you increase the chain even further up to 4,000% of the base rate of finding a shiny. The base rate of finding a shiny is 1 in 8,000, and it gets boosted by 4,000 when you... What? So now we're spitting in people's faces because I have played this game, even using boosts and using a vanilla Poke Radar and everything. Finding a shiny's not easy. I only have maybe 2 or 3. I've probably put like, I don't know, maybe like 50 hours to 100 across the course of a year into this game. With this boost, you will essentially be guaranteed to find a shiny Pokemon every day. What the fuck? Now, Albino Radar discount. This is a similar thing to the Poke Radar, but for the albino variations of Pokemon, essentially doing the same thing. Hyper Mode users get a 20% discount of the interaction points to recharge. And this is done in the form of another discount. You're like, damn, Smokey, that sounds disgusting. Who the fuck would play a game after that? There's at least 100 Hyper Mode users out there per month, every month. While I was recording this, there's currently 931 users online. I'm willing to bet at least 10% of them has gone through the trouble of putting at the minimum of $10 a month into this game. So that means lowballing it. This creator created a game based off of the kindness and interactions of the Pokemon community, and then actively limited their interactions to a point where they can benefit thousands of dollars every month, probably bringing home 5 digits yearly on an IP that they do not own. Now, do not get me wrong, if this was not Pokemon related and everything was the same here, I wouldn't care. And I don't mean to sound like a Pokemon narc here either, where I'm waving the flag here for the Game Freak ninjas to come and snipe this one down. But there's something that seems extremely manipulative about all of it, far more than maybe even like Dragon City. If recalling my Dragon City video, I called about how that video ended up actively losing a large amount of community due to the fact that their purchases ended up mattering. They weren't aesthetic anymore. Now the 9 boosts I just read to you here, one of them is an aesthetic add-on. Now, I will be saying that I am not going to be spending my money on this game, and that you shouldn't either. As much as I like a game, this developer obviously seems very manipulative in their tactics, and I don't want to play a game that wants to manipulate me. In an ideal world, they just take all the boosts they already have set for Hyper Mode and either supply them to the normal game or just get rid of them entirely. I think this game could be so much bigger if it did not have these pay-to-play aspects. And the fact that it does have these pay-to-play aspects puts it in such the red line of being sniped. It feels like the reason you haven't heard anybody talk about this game is because it's a good game, but with in-app purchases. Like, keep it hush-hush. You don't want to be the one to ruin us now. Keeping a community hostage behind a subscription service. I don't know. Maybe I would like the Nintendo Ninjas to strike. Something about this just does not rest well with me. But if you would like a Pokemon game that I can actually recommend that won't ask you for 50 to 100 bucks, then I'd say play Pokemon Crown. It's a medieval remake of the game that turns the old Fire Red engine into a chess battler, an auto chess battler kind of game. And it is definitely one of the coolest and most unique ROM hacks that I've ever seen. As well as checking out my Twitch channel, my VODs channel. I have the Discord in the description, motherfucker. I got you. I think I would appreciate that. Just like I appreciate you for watching.